It's chapter 3 of part 19, the womb healing decree. So 3D interference is basically there to keep you in fear, guilt, shame, trauma loops, karma loops, right? Recursions. Oh, do it again, get it more perfect. Empath sensitives, light workers, they are so earnest. They want to get it perfect. So then we're constantly kept in loops, and constantly kept around, dangerous people like the dark triad. And because we need to make it better, we need to heal it, we need to try to help. So, and that good-heartedness is used against us. But the installation's greatest fear is not just calling in source and source's team of source aligned, right? So guides only source aligned, but testing the channel, like asking, is this source? If a guide comes forward asking, is this source? Is this source aligned? Is this sovereign? Like questioning the interference in the installation, because we know there's something interfering, there's something going on. And they have us kind of like afraid. Oh, well, don't look inside. This one, she was like a Reiki master, and she was like, oh, like you have a gargoyle. And this is like in 2020. And I just was like, who doesn't? Like that is 3D. 3D is interference. 3D, and if we say gargoyle or we say entity, people freak out because then they don't want to look. But it's interference. They're installations. And so that's what we're looking for in this decree work. We're looking, where's the installation? Where is the interference? And specifically in the womb healing decree, we are looking at the womb. And we're revoking all inferred consent that definitely is not source. So clear consent is a yes or no, and your body will answer immediately. A person will sit beside you, yes or no. And we all know who we let in when it was a no and how devastating that can be. Okay, so 3D interference, from this understanding, okay, comes all the way from 2000 years ago for the Gnostic teachings of the demiurge. So the demiurge is like the demigod. So it was an unbalanced, it created like an unbalanced system, which is the material plane, which is 3D. And so then they needed kind of like administrators, and they were called in the Gnostic teachings, they were called archons, Archons. I just got a thumbs up on my Zoom. It probably won't show on the video, but anyways, we're on the right track. In modern times, they're called the reptilians, and then they're controlled by the Draco reptilians. So the Draco reptilians at some point are source emanated. The way I understand it, they are at one point source emanated, but they further and further and further and further and further became away from source. They're called the 1%ers. They even call themselves the 1%ers, but they have 1% source consciousness. And the heart is 500. So even if you're high 3D, 4D, that's courage. You're asking questions. You're saying, like, this is not for me. Like, I revoke inferred consent, which is huge if we all did that. Great. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. So the 3D monitoring system controls the flow of resources. So all the money, all the banking, all the tech in 3D. It works in repetitive cycles. So relationships, jobs, illnesses, to keep you in the main state of fear and pain. That's the favorite of 3D is fear and pain. But yet they kind of glamorize this like you could be famous. You could be on a yacht. You could be a billionaire. It's like, yeah, and find out what kind of things you have to do to have that in 3D is quite disgusting and horrific, right? So lots is elusive on the 3D plane, but it is also really obvious. but we just have to choose to see it as it is and not how we want to see it. So I used to see people from their highest consciousness. I still do, but I also see their 3D selves now. So I see both. And then now I see all kind of timelines up to 24D. So that's 3D. And the main tools of 3D interference are installations. And so we're going to look into that. We look into that in all of the decrees, but we're going to look into the womb specifically for installations. And then what I've seen with clients is like a metal cage on the womb. And then what is the purpose of that is to cause interference and also to block, say, your divine counterpart. Because say if you had your divine counterpart, so what I'm seeing is a lot of 5D New Earth families where everyone is a light worker. So the mother is a light worker, the father is a light worker, and the children are light workers. That's huge. Normally it would be one light worker in the lineage of both the mother and the father, or whatever the parent and the parent. So that is a big shift, but I have clients that actually have created that and are creating it. And so with this interference, it creates agitation, and then the body will basically be giving messages with the womb. So anything with reproduction, anything with sex, your sexual orientation, like the womb is connected to all of that. And I say it's for both male and female because we are all born through a womb, unless you are not a human source-based being in a human 3D body, because there are some non-3D bodies. Anyways, you wouldn't be interested in this work, so it wouldn't matter. Okay, so the simple answer is that they put these interferences and installations in so that you do not awaken your consciousness, and you definitely do not connect with your divine pairing. So the divine pairing is also outside, but it's also inside. And some people meet their divine pair on the outside, but then they're very confused and they don't trust that that's the person because there's this overlay of confusion. And that is very typical, right? So the interference can go up to 7D, but the heart 5D consciousness is the most difficult to interfere with, and that is New Earth. So New Earth has like a protection around it. It is called, I've been told, the sacred garden. It has a very strict protection around it. And so in order to interfere, then they have to be heart-based, which is not going to happen because then they have to go through all the karma that they've created from 1D to 5D. That could take forever, right? Because so, anyways, yes. So as source emanated human beings, we emit a heart-based energy and frequency. And they're what I call the dark triad, the psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, or you can call them the Draco-reptilians, the Anunnaki from 40, and then the insectoid groups have access up to 7D. They're like the 1%ers. So they have very little source light based on their behavior, and then repetition, repetition, repetition. 3D is all repetition. So, but New Earth is 500 consciousness and 5D consciousness through the heart, connecting to source. And that's what we were going to focus on. Good. Thank you.